All right, I'm going to turn my camera off, and Sandy, you may do the same if you will. All right. So good morning, guys. Today's session is a follow-up of yesterday's session. So yesterday we looked at best practices in remote teaching, and Charmaine led that session, and it was quite fruitful. We had a number of queries answered, and the interaction was beautiful. Today we are continuing, but we are in less of a discussion mode. We're more in an hands-on practical mode. A little bit of housekeeping. One of the very first thing that I'm going to ask you to do, I had posted in the chat a link in which we're asking you to just go and fill out that form for us. It should take you no more than 2 minutes. It's our registration form from the CETL and COOL collaboration, and we want to keep track of what it is we're doing and what it is you need. So could you just quickly go there? I'm actually timing you. It's 3 minutes past. At 6 minutes past, we will resume here, please.
Good morning, Michelle. Could you please repost the link? I'm not seeing it in the chat.
Not a problem. Let me post it. All right, so I am posting it again. I just did. It's a clickable link, so you can go ahead. Very good, Sandy.
Can repeat? I just got on. What link is that, please?
There's a link that I just posted in the chat. It's a registration form that I'm asking you quickly to fill out so that we can have an idea of what it is you want and how is it you intend to proceed, and we have a record of you. Can everybody see the link? Sandy has already done it. I just posted it again.
Yes, yeah, I see Michelle. I'm gonna do it now.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Can you please remind me the name of the workshop, please?
This particular one is using OurVLE Tools.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. All right, colleagues. So it is 8 minutes past, but because I know that there are some persons who are currently filling out the registration, I'm just holding on for 2 minutes more, all right? And then during the session, if you haven't done it, I'll just remind you of it. So you don't have to worry about not having done it. And for those who joined us in the last couple of minutes, welcome. I do hope you have your containers on OurVLE, whether it's a new container or an old container, it doesn't matter. We just need you to have some hands-on. And I am not sure if everybody has the ability to share screen. If you do, please look to see if you see share screen and it's green at the bottom of your monitor. If you have that, please let me know. You can simply type yes in the chat or you're not seeing it. And that will give us an idea of how to proceed in terms of you. Wonderful. So if you're seeing it, it means that if you're working along, I would love for us to see what you're doing as we go through. That would replace me walking around and looking at what you were doing if we were actually in a face-to-face session. This is the best way of, yes, this is the next best thing to that. All right, so we're starting in a minute. Let me just share my screen. Ma'am, yes.
What about people who do not have access to a container?
All right, so if you don't have access to a container, and you'll realize that I don't have access to a container as yet, I'm just using somebody else's for today. So if you don't have access to a container, that is fine. You can follow along, and remember that the recording will be made available. So you can follow along, and then when you get your container, you can just go back to the recording or use the notes if you're making notes when you follow along. So you should be fine either way.
All right, thanks.
Oh, a container is the course that you get on OurVLE. I'm sorry, I'm using technical terms. So we refer to them as containers because it is what you put things into. So it's your course container, which simply means that it is the course that you have on the OurVLE platform. Any other questions? So I'm gonna share my screen. Oh, I was saying that Charmaine and I are working together. I am leading today's session, and Charmaine will be assisting with answering questions or queries, clarifying anything, as well as monitoring the chats, just in case when I go full screen, she can let me know who has queries or who has a hand up. All right, so I'm just about to share my screen, and we're gonna start out with a little bit of a presentation and then move into the hands-on component. So if we are ready, say the word.
Iris has said the word.
Thank you, Iris. All right, now my slideshow, come on. Okay, don't do that, technology. All right, guys, so we're looking at how to use OurVLE tools to teach. Technically speaking, we're looking at using the different technology tools that we have, especially the ones in the OurVLE Moodle platform, and linking it to our teaching practices, to what we do in the classroom. And in order to avoid this, the banging of our heads, we just want to ensure that we walk you through on how to make this an efficient process as much as possible. Now, on OurVLE, well, somebody asked last time, is OurVLE different from Moodle? It is not different from Moodle. As Charmaine had explained, Moodle is the learning management system, and different institutions call it different names. So you may hear OurVLE for Mona, My e-learning, you will hear UTech Online, you will hear different names. Different people call them different names, but OurVLE is a Moodle platform. All right. And on OurVLE, we have about 7 different resources, and we have them listed here. Now, you should be relatively familiar with the different resources. The ones that I have highlighted here are the ones which are used commonly. So the book, well, the one which is used the most common is the file. We tend to upload files a lot for students, but you'll also find that the other resources are used. If you have any queries or if I'm going too fast, please let me know so that I can slow down or I can repeat or back up. So are we good so far? So these are our resources, and resources is simply the different ways that we give content to our students, okay? Now, on OurVLE, you'll find that there are significantly more activities than there are resources. That is because when Moodle was created, the idea was for it to be a student-driven, learner-driven platform. And as such, you'll find that there are way more activities for engagement than there are resources for information given. And so here we have a list of the ones that exist on OurVLE. Depending on the Moodle version or on your institution, you may find that there are more activities. So this is not the list of all activities on Moodle. This is the list of the activities on OurVLE. And this means that these are what we have to work with until things change in the future, if they do change. Okay, the ones that I have highlighted are the ones that are common, and I haven't heard any question, which means that you have a basic idea of what these are, right, guys? Hello?
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Wonderful.
Rondine is asking, what is Scorm?
Okay, Rondine, a Scorm package.
And yes, and Olivina as well.
About the Scorm. All right.
Yes.
I don't know if you noticed that I had the IMS content package over here and I have Scorm over here. Both are packaged content. So I don't know if you've ever done a course online or if you have gone online and you realize that you have a course that has several lessons. Well, what the Scorm and the IMS package do, they combine all these lessons into one package, one file. The difference between the IMS package and the Scorm package is that the IMS is for content given, all right? So it has a lot of content. It may have 1 or 2 activities, but its focus is on giving information. The Scorm, however, has activities which also have a grading component or a tracking component that you can go back and see what you have done or how well you have performed. So you may have one course, if you will, which has several lessons and activities and links and resources and content. And the activities usually have a grade and you can go back to see how well you have done. That is the Scorm. When somebody had asked when the question was raised in the previous session, Charmaine explained beautifully that these Scorm packages or IMS content packages tend to be used largely for self-paced courses. So if you go to a particular site that says, okay, you can do this on your own time, and you realize that you see one thing and you click and it has like several lessons, that is a Scorm package usually. I hope that answers the question. May we continue?
No further question on that.
All right. Now, something else that I need to point out is the feedback and the survey. What is the difference between the feedback and the survey tool? They're both activities in OurVLE. The survey is a preset. It is a survey or a questionnaire type activity that already has question put in them. The feedback is an activity in which you can use it for survey purposes, but you create the question. So you tailor it based on your situation, your context, and the students that you have. You don't have that kind of leeway or wiggle room at all with the survey activity because that already has the questions plugged in. And when we get onto the OurVLE, I will just show you a quick difference between the survey and the feedback. All right. Okay. Now, another thing that you have at your fingertips in OurVLE are Moodle blocks. The blocks are a set of mini containers, if you will, with information in except for the HTML block. So the calendar already has the months and the year, and you can just put in the information that you want. The message is set up already that you simply look for the student and you put or the person you want to correspond with, and you put the message in. News and announcements, you simply click add a new topic and you put it in, click post, and the information is there. People has all the persons who are in your course all right there listed, and upcoming events outlines whatever information you have coming up once you have set dates on your activities. The HTML block, however, is a pretty cool tool. It is blank. And for that reason, you can use it to input any information that is critical that you want students to see right there and then. Yesterday, when Charmaine did the session, she pointed out that for information that you want students to see right there and then without having to click a link or so, you can just put that on the page. This is a tool that you can use for that. And we're going to just take a quick little look when we go in how it works and how we can set one up in our course to engage our students. Now, what are we doing in today's session? We're going to start out by adding an HTML block, okay? Then we're going to set up a survey using the feedback activity. We're going to set up a question and answer forum because I am running on the assumption that we all know how to set up a forum, but there are different types of forum. And so we're going to look at the question and answer forum and how it works. And then we had a request for how to add a file or an attachment to the forum. So we're going to do that. We're going to create a quiz and look at how we can modify, format the quiz. Where if time allows, we will also be creating a choice. Choices where students make a selection. So if you have a module where you want students to present on topics and you have say 30 students or 100 students and only 4 topics, to ensure that there is a fair distribution, you can create a choice so that students select the topic that they want to present on. And if time allows, we will look at how we can manage badges for use in your class with your students. It's one of the areas that's getting a lot of attention and how it can be used to motivate students a lot. So we will look at that if we have time. Are we good in the chat, Charmaine?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought nothing so far. Well, Natalie's asking what is a badge. She wants to know just in case we don't get there.
A badge, well, a digital badge is simply, it is simply a tool, an award that you give to students. So in your course, if a student does well, you can set up a badge that says you're a top performer or most improved or something like that. But you can set it up so that the students can get it automatically, or it can be given to the student in the case that in the case that the activity is one that you have to review. So that is essentially what a badge is. That is basically what a badge is. All right, I am looking for my course page. So are you seeing my course page? Please indicate if you're seeing my page.
Yes.
Okay, I'm on OurVLE. All right, so this is my OurVLE page. My name is Damien. For today, until I am officially on the system where I will be Michelle. So for today, I am Damien, but I'm using the container to show you how we can set it up for students in order to engage them. And we're going to start with the HTML block. Now, one of the things that I'd love for us to do before I go any further is, could you indicate how many of you are actually working along as we go? It will be useful for me to, so you can tell me who is doing so we can share the screen. Charmaine, anybody indicated? You can't just raise your hand.
Olivine is asking though how you got the word welcome at the top.
All right. That is an image. And all right, so let us start there then.
What she wants to know is how you got it at the top.
Oh, I got it at the top?
Before, I think this is what she means, before news and announcements and that kind of thing. Yes, Natalie, working along as in have OurVLE open so that you can follow. Yes, the container is boring now, Olivine, but give it a little while, it won't be boring. Trust us.
All right, so let me see if I am understanding. There's a question on how I got the welcome here at the top.
Yes.
All right, what I did was I edited the page. I think I am in, I'm in teacher role, so why am I not seeing this session, the section to turn editing on? So I'm turning editing on. And in order to get that, what I did was I clicked on the edit summary and I had a picture. So I simply put my cursor here and then I clicked on the insert edit image. Let me just remove it and show you what I did. So I'd put in my information and I said, oh, it would be cool if I had a welcome sign. So I just put the cursor where I wanted the welcome sign to be. I used the formatting bar, clicked center, and then I clicked on insert edit image. Tell me if I'm going too fast, okay? I clicked on find or upload an image, and then I went to, I think I just deleted my welcome side. Anyway, I go to upload, then I click on browse because I'm going to where I have my images saved. So let me see if I have something in this folder that I can use. So I go to the folder where I have my welcome, and I'm sure I do not have a welcome sign anymore. So I'm just going to put anything in at this point, okay? So let me put this in. This is my welcome. Please pretend that it says welcome. All right, when I click on it, you'll realize that you have 3 tabs, general, appearance, and advanced. We're interested in general and appearance. When I click on appearance, it gives me an idea of how large it is. And this is a bit large for my page. So I can simply highlight it and change the size. If I change one, the other will automatically change because the constraint proportions is ticked, section is ticked. And then if I go to general, I can give it an image name because there are some students whose internet may drag or may not show the image. So you want to give them an idea of what is there. And then I click insert and the welcome would come right here. And then I simply click save changes and it's there. So that's how you put an image into a particular block, especially the welcome section that you would have. Is that clear?
Yes, it is. Thanks.
No problem. All right, so I was talking about the blocks. We're starting with the HTML block. This is an example of facilitator information because I would want my students to have this information right at their fingertips without having to click to get to the information. So I have set up a block right here that gives my name, gives my unit, gives my phone number, and my email address that I want students to contact me at. All right. I also put something in for them should they need any assistance in moving around or finding an answer where when they click on this one, it takes them to more details, okay? So you can use the HTML block to set up just about anything that you need in your class. I use it for frequently asked questions. I use it to set up my Hall of Fame when my students do well and I want to list their names right there for everybody to see. I use it to set up my lecturer information. So you can think of using that. Now, how do you use that? Remember that in any one of your sessions, in order to add content or blocks or activities, you have to turn editing on. And we have already turned editing on. So I am just going to scroll down and I'm looking for something that says add a block. Now, it will be on the left side in OurVLE towards the bottom. Okay, so it will be under the navigation and under the administration block. So I scroll down to add a block. Are you still with me? When I reach here, I click on add. Now, when I click the drop down, you'll realize that there is a long list of different blocks. And whenever you have time, just try and go in and see what each of them actually can do. You cannot break the internet. If you put something in, you can actually take it out. So I'm going to click on HTML because that is the block that I will be creating right now. So I have clicked on HTML block, and what is going to happen is I get something that says new HTML block. So talk to me now, guys. What kind of information will we put in this block that we want our students to have instant access to? Let us create that together. Talk to me. Unmute your mic and tell me so we can create it.
A wiki on the topic that you're teaching.
I'm sorry?
I was thinking a wiki on the topic that you're teaching so that they can add information.
But we're not looking at the activity, the wiki activity as yet. This is just a piece of information that we would give them. For something like a wiki, you would probably put it in the news and announcement to tell them that we have added a wiki, go to it and do that. So that would be in the news and announcements, which would be something that come every week. We want something that is critical information where we don't have to add too many blocks to the page, making it crowded. So think of something else.
What about, Michelle, what about, well, I'm going to be bright, unless somebody else wants to have a shot at it.
Go ahead.
Dr. Diedrich Jones is suggesting office hours.
Office hours. Okay, so let us say that this will be our office hours, okay? So I have to add the information. So I click on the editing icon, the gear icon, the actions icon, and I'll click on configure new HTML block, all right? And then I'm going to put office hours, okay? And so that is the title, and this is what the students will see before they see anything else. And for the content, I will put, what do we usually put for office hours? So we have Mondays, 3 to 4, yes? And what else do we put?
Wednesdays 10 to 11 and other times by appointment.
All right, so Wednesday 10 to 11. And then other times by appointment? That's what you said?
Yes,
All right, so this is it. I'm just going to do a little bit of formatting. So I'm going to change it to the Georgia font. I like the Georgia font, making it a little brighter and putting it in the center. And I'm just going to change the color to something that a little bit darker so that it pops, all right? And if you're the creative type, you can put like a little appointment icon or something like that on it to let it pop even more. Now, when I click save, it is at the bottom. So what we have to do is we have to bring it up to where we want the students to see it. So I can just click the move office. Oh, this is the move icon. So if I click on it, you'll realize that you get these lines. Red means that nothing is in there as yet. Blue means that you have successfully moved it in. If I click on it here, what it will do, it will move it. So I don't have to click. I can just click right here and it will move it to the top. And that's it. So when my students log in, they will see the office hours, they will see the facilitator information, and then they will see any assistance for help if they need it. All right. And that would take care of your HTML block. Did anybody do it while we were doing it?
Yes, I did.
Could you share yours?
Hold a sec.
Beautiful.
But I didn't. One sec, but I got lost somewhere when you were doing your editings in terms of you know, the fonts.
Okay, so all you do if you realize that you need to go back in and make some changes, just go back to your actions and go back to configure. And what I did was, do you have your drop down like this? Because if you don't, you simply click all right, it probably looks like this. So you click on your toggle toolbar. And one of the beautiful things about the OurVLE platform that you probably didn't know is that if you just pass the cursor over it, it gives you an idea of what each icon is about. So if you just toggle, that doesn't show it, click it, it shows it, and then you can go in and make your editing. So you want to show us what you did now, Rashali? Please?
I can, but I'm still trying to work out what you just said. Let me show you.
Yes, please, show us. I'm going to stop my sharing so that you can share. Go ahead, Rashali.
Okay, just give me 1 second.
Oh, Natalie Dietrich was asking, is my picture in an HTML block? Yes, I had inserted my picture.
Yeah, how I share my screen from here?
All right, so you should see at the very bottom where you have your mic, where you mute and unmute. There is a your screen. And if you click on it, all right, beautiful.
Oh, but it says host disabled participant share screen.
Oh, all right. Okay, don't worry about it.
Hold on, let me.
We're going to give them access?
Yes, give her access.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Rashali, is that your screen that I'm looking at?
Yes.
Beautiful. All right, so you have your office hours. I know what you're talking about now. So Rashali, you're not seeing the editing panel because your profile settings. So what I'm going to use your screen to show everybody. Okay, so go up to where it says Rashali, where your image is, and click on right click so that the drop down comes down. So you see where it says, all right, so I am talking and it's going right inside. So let me move that from there. So you see where it says edit profile, click on edit profile. Say leave. It's okay, say leave because you have to leave to go to edit your profile. We'll come back. All right, scroll down and I am looking for something that says preferences. All right, just go scroll up slowly. Edit, change, messaging, blogs, badges. Why am I not seeing your preferences? I'm not seeing, oh, text editor. So it doesn't say preferences, it says text editor. So click the drop down and select Tiny MCE HTML editor. The Tiny MCE HTML editor allows you to do the kind of formatting that I had there.
Okay.
If you click the drop down again, let me just, and the auto HTML saves as you go along, but it doesn't give you all the formatting options that the tiny MCE has. So I tend to use the tiny HTML. So click on that and then click save. So scroll down to update your profile now, update profile. And so you will go back to your course, the one that you were working in. You remember where you were working? Go, yeah, okay, that's one. Turn editing on and just go back. You don't have to do it again because I don't think your block was saved.
Oh, I have to do it again.
Yeah, I don't think it was
Okay.
saved. I'm not sure.
Oh, no.
Right, so just go in. All right, so walk us through it, please.
So go to add block. And I think I just did the drop down menu and clicked HTML. Oh, yeah, it's there. Both of them are there.
Oh, it was there. Okay.
So I guess I'll just use this one of them.
You want to put information on the course view? I'll come into your areas. Yes, go ahead.
Configure. And then that's it.
And don't continue. Put the information in. We want to see it.
Yeah, office hours. And I said the
exactly.
All right, so let me just put back what I had. Oh, that wasn't it. Friday. Right. So click here. Okay, and what did you do now?
I went to font family. So I highlighted the text that I wanted to change. And then I went to font family and it has a drop down with several. So you choose the one you want. And I changed the font size to 14. Yes, and I made it in the middle. And then I also changed the font color. So if I go up to where the A is, the big A, oh, the other one in the other row, exactly. And I click the drop down arrow. If I click the drop down, it gives me the colors. And where you see more colors, you have other options. Now, I probably would not use this color on a white background. So it means that you have
like a red. Okay.
Yes, something that's darker that pops up against the white background.
Remember what we were talking about in relation to, actually in relation to students who may be visually challenged.
Exactly.
You know, have issues with color and so on.
That's better?
It's better.
Yes.
All right, and
save
then
changes.
you go save changes. And if you want to put an image in there, you simply, that's exactly where you'd put it. Now, how do I move it from there to the top of to the top of the page?
This?
No, that's not the one. That's not the one you had just edited.
Oh.
So
okay.
I'm glad this happened. It means that if you have more than one, you have to ensure that you click on the one that you want to move.
Okay.
All right. And then what do I do with those red lines? I simply click and there you are. Very, very good.
Thank you.
So that's all you do. That's all you do. All right. Now somebody asked a question. Could you stop sharing, please, so I can go back? I think I can.
There was a question, Michelle, about Kevin was asking there are two questions. Kevin was asking how you get how you got your photograph put up.
Right.
All right.
And Iris was asking about how you put the course description or the course overview on the page before you get to this page, before you get to the course.
I'm going to stop sharing a page, Rashali. Okay, so how do I get my picture up? All right, so we know that it's an HTML block. I'm going to save the picture because I don't think I have it on this computer. So I'm just going to save the picture so that I can have access to it and walk you through. All right, so I'm going to configure. There wasn't anything there. I simply had put my name and where I was, my number and so forth. But I was thinking that, okay, it is an online class. My students are not going to see me very regularly. It would be good if they have an idea what I look like. So I go back in, I click on configure because that is what I want to do. And I add an image I want to put the image at the top, right? So I put the cursor where I want to put my image. I go to insert, edit image, but in this case, I am inserting. I go to upload an image. If I do not have it on, if it's not one of those things that I had uploaded recently, I will have to go and look for it to upload. If you uploaded it recently, you can click on recent files and it would be listed here. All right, so I don't have it, so I'm going to go to browse. And then I had put it in, I'm going to look for where I have it. So I think I had put it here. Wasn't it here that I downloaded it to a while ago, guys? Let me see.
See, that's a lesson. That's a lesson right there. You have to remember,
Put your, yes.
where you have saved, put things, or else you'll be hunting and
looking for things all over the place. It's a good idea for you. Thanks, Charmaine. It's a very good idea for you to put all your images and files and so forth that you need in a folder. So you go to the folder each time instead of doing the search as I just did. So I click on my image, I click open, or I can double click and bypass the open step. And then I click upload this file. It tells me that it is there because you realize that I had to delete it just now, but that's fine. I'll just overwrite it in this case. It's a relatively large image. It's way too big. So I go to appearance and I change the settings, the size, and I click insert. I didn't put who it is. So I'll put picture of M. McCoy, so that for those whose internet won't load, they have an idea of what would have been there. And then I click insert. All right, it's a little bit big, so I can simply click back on the image and go back into appearance and change it a little bit more. So I'll change that to 130. Yes, that looks a little bit better. And then I click on save changes and voila, there it is. So that's how the image is inserted. All right.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
I have a picture on the desktop, but when I went into the thing, it only said like URL. So is there a way I can just browse and
Can you share your screen with us? Share your screen. I like this because we get to show and tell. So I stopped sharing. Please share your screen so that we can see what is happening. Aldith, do I need to go back again through how to put the lecturer picture and contact information in the HTML block? I'm just seeing your message.
Yes.
All right.
So I'll be grateful.
All right, so I'm here.
Right.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, yes, I can. Can the rest of us see the screen?
Yeah,
Yes, I can.
Okay, wonderful.
And maybe this one is too big, but I just wanted to play around with it.
It doesn't matter, right?
So insert image.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so I need to get to the desktop.
So you need to click on find or upload an image. You actually need to click on the words above that. So you're in the box,
okay.
there you go.
Okay.
And then you click on choose file, and then you would go to your desktop where your image is.
Okay. I don't remember where it is, but...
Well, this is your desktop, so it would be there somewhere, but that is essentially what you would do. So what you were doing just now was you were in the box that says insert URL, and that is why it was telling you that. Okay. All right. The query about quickly going back through how to set up the HTML. All right. Let me do that one more time. And I'm going to do a new one rather than, so I go down to add a block. but I have to turn editing on first. I click on add a block, they drop down, and I scroll down to where it says HTML, all right? I click on HTML, and remember that the HTML block gives us an empty container. It will come up down the bottom, so I have to scroll down to where it is. I click on the actions icon so that I can edit it. I can configure my block. I give it a name, which will be contact information. So I'll just say contact info. I put my name. I put my unit. I put my phone number, and we practice the 876, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's my phone number. And I put my email because these are the things that I want the students to get. All right. And this is the information that I want. I'm going to just center it. And I had done a little bit of formatting where I changed the format, the font type, and the font size. And I had gone ahead and put a little bold on it so that it pops a little bit. And so the next thing that I wanted to do was to put my image in. Now, I wanted my image at the top. You can put your image anywhere depending on what you're doing, using your block for. So I put my cursor right where I want to insert my image. I go across to insert edit image, and remember, you can just pass the cursor over each icon to give you a brief description of what it is. So I click on that. I am going to click on find or upload an image. Now you remember just now I had uploaded the image of my picture. It is still not there. That is interesting. It should be showing. I'm not sure why not. Anyway, so because it's not showing, I am going to go to browse. I am going to the desktop where I have my image saved. Ideally, it should be in a folder with all the other things that I want to upload to this particular course. I click on it, and then I click open, or I can just double click on it. This time I will click on it, okay, and click open. It will give me a brief. If you have an image to upload, try to name it so that it's easy to recognize it. So here it simply says WhatsApp image, blah, blah, blah. Put something like profile picture McCoy, or something that makes it easy for you to find your images when you're searching for your image. The author is Damian Facey because that's his account that I'm using, but your name in your container will be reflected here, okay? And upload this file. When I click upload this file, depending on the size of the file, I may have to do a little bit of edits. So where it says image description, I put a name, McCoy picture, so that students whose browsers don't show the images can have an idea of what the image was or would have been. And then appearance is where I go to change the size of the image. So we found out earlier that 250 was too large, so we had put 130. If I change the dimensions on one side, this is my width, it will automatically change it on the other side because this is selected, constraint proportions. All right, if I deselected it, I would have to make the changes in each box respectively. And when I'm finished, I click insert. I have a preview. I am happy with it. I scroll down to where it says save changes.
Remember that, colleagues. Remember to save the changes.
Thank you, Michelle.
And wait, and when you have done so, what will happen is that it will be wherever the block had appeared. So you will have to move it to where you want to put it. Now, so far I have moved it up on the left side, but let us say I wanted to move it so that it shows on the right side at the top. I simply click. So you can click on any section, left or right, to put your blocks in. Okay?
Thank you very much.
No problem. The other question that was asked was, how do we put content in? What was the question again, Charmaine?
Content like a course overview, the course overview or description
All right.
on the previous page, the page.
Like what I have here?
No, the page before you come in. Yes.
This is inside the course.
No, the page before.
Before, okay. So let us say that this is the information that I want to show, okay? I'm just going to copy this, but you can always type it up. Where do you do that? What you do is you go down under administration, which would be course administration here. You click on edit settings and it will take you to the course settings. This is before you input your resources and activities and so forth. So this is where you would decide if you change your layout to topics or weeks. This is where you would put when the course starts and so forth. And if you scroll down to where it says description, course summary, this is where the information would be. And so I simply put the information in. I'm too lazy to type it up, so I just copy and paste in the interest of time. It is not laziness, it's in the interest of time. And then this is already formatted, so I will just change this as well to the same font and font size. And when I scroll down and click Save Changes, it will appear. Now, how do I see that? I would go to the center because all the courses are there. And when I look for, oh, I need to probably view this in as student, don't I? I probably need to view this as student. Let's see what's on page 2. Yes, I probably would have to view it as a student to see the breakdown, don't I? I don't know if I can. I was hoping that I could view it as a student so you could see, but when the student logs in, the student would see the name of the course, and just below here, the student would see that description that you just put in. All right?
Does that answer your Iris?
Iris?
Okay, good, yes.
Okay, beautiful. All right, is everybody comfortable with what we just did? Can we move on to the feedback?
Please let us know. It appears that way, Michelle.
Yes.
Again, could you just repeat?
What should I?
Please go over what Iris had asked. Somehow I missed it. Probably a bit too fast.
What Iris had asked is, how do you get the information that you want on the section before the student clicks to enter into the course? Okay. And what I was explaining is that you would have the information that you want. You would go to edit settings. So you go under the administration block, under the course administration section, and you click on edit settings. Because this is where you set up everything you want about the course, not so much what goes into the course. And under description, this is where you would put the information that you want the students to see to get an idea, an overview of what it is in order to then click and come in. So you'd put it right here where it says course summary. And if you have a little image, you can put the image in as well. So they would see the image and the text that you have. And then you just scroll down to the very bottom and click Save Changes. When you do that, when the student logs on to OurVLE, the student is going to see the courses, but with your course, the student will not only just see the name, the student will also have an overview of what your course is about. And the student is going to say, cool, my teacher is the boss, and then will be more keen in going in.
Okay, thank you, Michelle.
All right, no problem. All right. If there are no other questions, I am going to move on to the setting up a feedback activity. But I'm going to show you the difference between the feedback and the survey so that you can have a clear idea of what it looks like. All right. Now, in the last class, we had actually put something in. So I'm going to just go through those steps again so you can see what a survey looks like as against a feedback. Now, I know that we use the term, we're going to conduct a survey or do a questionnaire, but we need to understand that in the OurVLE, there is something called survey, which is not what we need. And there is something called feedback, which is what we need to do our surveys. All right, I hope that didn't just confuse you. So we're going to remember, we always have to turn editing on. So my editing is already on, and I am going to go to add an activity, and I scroll down to where I see survey. I'm doing survey first because I want you to see what it looks like, okay? So I click on survey, and I will give the name of the survey. So, and the name should be something that's very clear to the student, okay? So I'll call this one Learning Challenges Survey. All right. And then it tells me that I should choose the type of survey. When you go on to OurVLE, you'll realize that for many of the information blocks that are there, there is a little gray question mark. If you click it, it gives you more information, which is beautiful. And some of them also say more help, which will take you to the moodle.org website where there is much more information. So it tells you what kind of surveys they have here. Remember, the survey is already a preset survey, so you can't do anything to it. It has everything. So let us just choose one. So I'm going to choose the first one, which is the ATTLS, which has 20 items. And let me see what the ATT is. Attitudes to thinking and learning. Okay, cool. It's close enough to our learning challenges survey. All right. And then it requires a description. So I'll just copy this and put here because we won't be showing the description on the page for now. So we can just leave that. So we know that it's a learning challenges survey, and we go to common module. We ensure that it is showing, and if you have activity completion on, you probably want the students to do this. So I will select show activity when the conditions are met, and the conditions that the students must at least go through it. Then I click save and display. Save and display takes me to the activity. Save and return to course, save the document, carry me back to the page where I would have to click on it in order to view it. Okay, and this is what the survey looks like. So you realize that it has, the name is in, it has the questions set up for you, it has the scaling that it is using, and of course the students would go in and click for whatever is appropriate. Remember, you cannot edit this, okay? So as it is, you simply have to use it as it is or leave it be. What did I do? I went in and clicked on something. Let me go back on. All right, there we go. All right. All right, so I started trouble here because I started clicking. It requires me to go through and finish. But I just wanted you to get a feel of what the survey would look like. All that happens is that it gives you something that is already set up. Now, we operate with a different set of students, different courses, and there are different things that we may want to find out about our students. We can use the feedback for evaluation of the course content, activities, interaction at different points so that it can help us to make changes. But we can also use it at the very beginning of the course to get some information about our students. We can use it to collect data for research purposes if you're trying action research with your students. There are different things that you can use the feedback because it acts as a questionnaire. So we're going to create a feedback that looks at your students. I usually do one that I call student profile. So let us do that. So I click on activity, and this time I am looking for feedback. So here we are. You'll realize when you go in, I don't know if you've really noticed it, but all the resources and the activities are listed in alphabetical order. So feedback is right after E. Okay, I'm going to put the name, your online profile, and I'll put survey in brackets so that they know that it's a questionnaire or data that I'm collecting about them. And for the description, you put some information that let the students know what this is about. So you say, this survey is to gather basic information about you and your technology, tools and skills. Tools and skill. It is meant, and you say that it is meant to assist you. It is meant to assist me in helping you to make the best of the course and the semester. You do not have to, so you tell them that they don't have to, but it would be useful. And you put in the rest of the information. So be as clear and as specific as possible. And then you can end something like, it will take no more than 3 minutes to complete. No more than 3 minutes, depending on how long your survey is. It's a little survey, don't make it too long. All right, so that is the description that the students will see when they go in. Availability. Now, if you are making it available to the students, this is where you're going to have to pay attention to whether or not you have a start date and an end date, or one or the other. If you're doing it during the orientation period, you probably want to put a startup and an end point so that it is completed during the orientation period. If you are mindful that students have internet issues and some may join later, you can just leave it open. I'm going to select dates so that you can see it when it turns up in the upcoming events. And it's useful when you put these things in because students can also see the upcoming events and have a clear idea that, oh, this needs to be done by X time. So I'm going to put a start, today is the 10th, and an end. So I'm going to say that it will end tomorrow at 10 o'clock, all right? Question and submission settings have to do with whether or not you want the students' names to show, whether or not they can submit the survey several times, and that sort of thing. So we usually leave it as anonymous. Even though it is anonymous, you, the teacher, can somehow, it's anonymous to the persons who are the students in the course, not to you, the teacher, because there are ways and means that you can see who did what, okay? Outside of the setting, if say MITS had set it so that it doesn't record the names, neither does it show the information, then it would be truly anonymous and you couldn't tell. But within the courses, I think it is set in such a way that as the teacher, you can double check to see who did this, just in case there is some follow-up that you need to do. Multiple submissions, I usually leave that at no, because I don't want the students to keep going in and changing their responses. Enable notification of submission, I usually leave that at no. If you select it and change it to yes, what will happen is that each time a student submits feedback, it goes to your email. Auto number questions, I usually say yes, just for aesthetic purposes. It makes it look nice with the numbers, but you don't need, if you don't need it, you don't have to select it, all right? After submission is simply what happens after the students have completed the survey that you have put together using the feedback activity. Show analysis, I usually say yes, because it gives me a visual of who has selected what. So it gives me a page that says 15 students selected yes to this one, 10 no, and 3 still working on it, kind of thing. So it gives you a very graph, if you will, of what the responses are. It's an analysis page. And the completion message is simply, what will the student see after he or she has completed the survey? Thank you very much. And you can probably say, this will help me in helping you. Link to the next activity is if right after the student has completed this, you want them to go straight into another activity, you can then put the activity here. If not, you can just leave it be. Common module settings, it would be set to show. Your groups would be no groups, depending on the kind of course it is. You may have several groups or tutorials, then you can decide whether or not everybody does this and everybody sees it, or if you want to separate the groups, okay? Restrict access, we're not restricting access on this, but restrict access has to do with putting on limitations or confinements, if you will, on certain things. So I can decide that they cannot, or they only can do this if they have completed another activity. So if I click on this, it will tell me which activity must they complete before they can do this feedback activity, okay? I can add a restriction that's based on date, which says that this will not be available. They cannot do this before X time, or they cannot do this until X time. If there is a grade, I may say that in order for them to do this activity, they have to get a particular grade. Or user profile, in order for them to do this, they must have a particular ID number, because these are in your user profile, or a particular email address. And the restriction set is simply a combination of all of those, because when I add a restriction, I can only add an activity completion and that is it. But a restriction set allows me to add different restrictions onto it at the same time. All right, but we're not putting any restrictions on. And when it comes onto the quiz, it's the same thing. Activity completion restrictions, the common module settings, they're all the same. So it's a repetition of all of that. And then what I do next is that I want the students to complete it. So they must submit it in order for it to be marked as complete. Now, all we have just done was to set up the feedback settings. All right. Am I going too fast?
You okay, colleagues? You following?
Yes, sure. I'm following.
Okay, very good. Wonderful. So I click save and display so that it shows me the quiz. All right. So wonderful. This is what we now have. It tells me that it is called your online profile. It gives me a little bit of analysis right here. It gives me the description that the students will see, and it tells me what will happen when the students have completed the survey. I now need to put questions in, okay? So I'm going to click on questions, and what will happen is that I will select my questions. Right here where it says select, I click the drop down, and I have the different types of questions that I can put in. All right. So we're going to start out by putting in, all right, so a page break is if you have a very long survey and you want to have different sections, so you'd put a page break in. The capture, have you ever gone to our website and it says, prove to us that you're not a robot? And then it has a little capture where you have to either click on some things to select all the parts of the blocks that have a traffic light, or you're supposed to put in the words that you see. That is the capture. You don't need it because you would be in a course where your students have to go through a registration process to be in the class. If you were using a Moodle platform that doesn't have it and you want to use that, you would have to go through Google Capture Cool, I think it is, or Capture Go, in order to get the capture. Because if you put it in now, all it will tell you is that you have it, but in order to go to the part where the students click on something or select, that would be missing. And information is usually something that says this is what the survey is about, and you were supposed to complete both sections. So let us put an information in. All right, so we have overview. And the label simply tells you, not the student, what this is about. So I can put overview here again. So I know that it's overview. It's to the course and it's not dependent on anything. And the position, okay, this is strange. It didn't look like this when I did it last time. All right, let me edit this. Please complete both sections of the survey. All questions should be answered. All right. And then I click Save Changes, and that is there. I will show you what the students will see in a few. The next thing that I'm going to add, I am going, yes.
Sorry, if you click the option that said text as question, which one of the options did you select?
There is text as question. Where is that?
Longer text answer. Which one of the options did you choose? Information or?
Information. I started with information.
All right, thanks.
You're working on it, yes? You're working as I'm working?
I've done this before, so I just wanted to see how it matched back with what I had done.
Okay,
I set
no
up
problem.
something like this already.
Nice. All right, for the rest of us, I'm going to put two labels in, one that have general information and one that have technology related. Remember that the label simply separates sections. It's used as a spacing tool. So I'm going to put a label in, and for my label, I am actually going to have section A, and on the section A, I have an image that I want to put that says general information. But you don't have to have an image. You can simply type general information. All right, and I had actually created a little label. So I'll upload it. It says general information. And I am going to put it in. So it is, oh, that's small. Let's make it a little bigger. And that is one of the things that you'll have to do, trial and error as you go through. All right, so that's a little bigger. And then I click Save Question. So it will have a label, all right? And then after the label, I want to put a multiple choice type. I click Required because I want the students to answer. Please state your sex. And for my label, I will just put sex because I want to know if it's a male or female. The type of question, multiple choice, single answer means that it is one or the other. Multiple choice, multiple answers mean that they can select more than one responses. And multiple choice, single answer means drop down list mean that there's a drop down that they select, okay? And we're gonna just do one of each. So let's start with the single answer. So I do not analyze empty submits. Yes, I don't want them to analyze the empty sections where students left. We wouldn't have to worry about it because we have insisted that the question is required, which means that the students must do it, okay? And then I write my options here. It says one line for each answer. So female would be in one line. And oops, I must have sex on my mind. Male would be the second response. So for the sex that you want them to state, you have female and male, all right? And then you save question. So that is one. Another question that I want to add, so remember we go to select each time. So we're going to add a multiple choice that has multiple answers, all right? And the question is, which days are you available for consultation, all right? And I would have consultation here so that it would help me if I need to go back in. And this time I am selecting multiple choice, multiple answers. All right. Remember, post in the chat or raise your hand if I'm going too fast or if you need to clarify anything. All right. And then I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to write, because I'm talking about days. I can actually put all the days here. So Mondays, Tuesdays, why am I pluralizing? And then Wednesday, and why am I writing it out in full? Let's just shorten it here. This is practice. Thursday, Friday. Because I understand that we have weekend classes, I am also putting Saturday and Sunday. All right. If you have a particular religious affiliation and you will not be seeing students on a particular day, you would not include it in the lineup here. All right. And then I click Save Question. And then the last one that I will select will be the multiple choice drop down. Again, I want it required. And then I will ask, are you repeating this course? Are you repeating this course? And the label would be repeat. So that would help me. And I'm going to select drop down list. And then I will choose yes, I am. No, this is my first time. All right. And then I click Save Question. All right. Now I'm just going to put one more question in to show you the separation with the labels, but I want another label in, the one that speaks to the technology aspect. All right. So I go to label and I am going to put section B. Now, remember, if you can just type section B technology, that's fine. But they tell us that a lot of students are visual learners and they gravitate towards the image first. So if you can find something that says what you want to say, you can go ahead and do so. I don't remember the size that I put for the other one. Let's try that and look at it. Oh yes, I remember now, it was too small. All right, so let's put 250 is not too big. All right, that's perfect. And then I click Save Question and I'll just put one question in section B. So I will put a short answer. Now you can go in and try these out on your own just to see what it looks like. So this is how do you normally connect to the internet? All right, how do you normally connect to the internet? And then I have connect here so that it gives me a clue if I need to change anything. The text width is 30, but you can look at how it looks and decide if you want to change it to something that's shorter and maximum characters, meaning that the characters have to do with the number of, what you call those, like the letters and the space and so forth. All right. And then you click Save Question. Now, as the tip, yes, Charmaine.
Natalie is asking if the images that you use are available in Moodle.
No, I created those. I created them for the purpose of the session. There are no images, preset images or a database on OurVLE for you to use. So any image that you put into your course, you would have to source them or create them. And there are some sites that allow you to get free images. So you have like PNG. I'll put a list of sites that you can get free stuff from. So you have FreePic, you have Vector, Characters, you have PNG free. There are a number of sites that you can use. The only thing that in light of us being online more, it means that there is so much more transparency. And so when you use images from other sites, unless you have paid for it and have the license that says that you don't have to acknowledge. Please remember to have an acknowledgement. So you may have a little link that says where it comes from, or just something that says picture credits or something like that. But there are no images in Moodle. There's no database for images. Anything that's there, you'll have to upload. All right. Oh, where was I? No problem. Okay, so I want to see what the students would see, because this is me as a teacher. So in order to see what the students would see, I would have to switch role to. You will find the switch role to under administration. All right, so it says switch role to, and you will see student. And when I click on that, oh, I'm in editing mode. That's why it told me that, sorry. So if I go now, there it is. This is what I will see as the student. I click on it and the student will see answer the questions. So you see the difference between what you as a teacher and what the student would see. And as such, the student would click to answer the question. So it gives me the information that says that I should complete both. So remember, this one was the information. So it says, please complete both sections. That is sections, you hear? All questions should be answered. And then section A. So there is the sex there, but because I am a teacher viewing it as a student, that is there, all right? When the student logs in, the student will not see anything that gives the, oh no, it's correct. So please state your sex. And then I would select female. Which days are you available? Remember, these are multiple selections, so I can select the days. I can select more than one here, but here I can only select one or the other, okay? Am I repeating? This is the multiple drop down, and that is what the student would see. How do you normally connect to the internet? Wi-Fi, okay? And then, and you notice the labels would separate the sections. Section A, general information. Section B, technology related. And I would submit my answer. I would get the message that I had put in. And when I continue, it would take me back to the main page because we did not put anything that would make a link to another activity. And that's how we would set up our feedback. If you are the teacher and your students have done the feedback, and I'm just clicking to go back to my role, I can look to see what students have done, all right? So I go and I go to my online survey, which the students have done. I see how many students have now responded in addition to whatever was there before. And if I click on show responses, why is it not showing responses? Or here it is. So it says one person has answered already. And this is the analysis. Remember when we selected analysis? Now, the more students that do it, the prettier and the more concrete the information will be. So if there were like 7 males and 3 females, it would break it down here and give you the percentage. But because only one person has completed it so far, this is what it looks like. Okay, so you have your little graph right there, research information that you can use. Okay, are there any questions where the feedback is concerned? Any comments? Did anybody try it and want to share?
Nothing in the chat.
Okay.
Any questions or did anybody try it?
Did we lose anybody along the way? You're very quiet.
Yes. Are we going to be handing out badges today?
This one is hard, Michelle.
This one is hard?
It's not really hard. It's sort of a little more, it takes a little more time.
And you're unfamiliar with it.
With
so
it,
yes.
right. But just bear in mind that it is there, this feedback possibility, the possibility of using this feedback tool to gather information and the difference between when you see the two of them, the feedback and the survey. Well, Iris knows already that she won't be using it. Iris, when the day comes that you have to say to one of us that you used it, you're going to have to pay us.
But the survey you said was already, it's preset.
Yes.
Right,
so
that's right.
You would have to go in and look at the sort of questions that are there. But remember, for the survey, they have set up a number of them, I think 5. You cannot add any question to it and you cannot remove any questions. So that is one of the things that you need to bear in mind.
And the difference between the way we use the terms and the way the terms are used in our VLE.
Exactly. And today we are trying to give you an overview and the hands-on of a number of tools, but what Charmaine and I have realized is that we will have to break the sessions down to target specific tools and focus on them as standalone. So don't worry about it if it's a little bit too much right now. We just want you to know that if you haven't used it as yet, it is available and these are the steps. You can go back through the video, but we are also going to have a discussion on how best we can facilitate you with one-on-one targeted tutorials. All right, guys?
Thanks.
And yes, it's being recorded.
Yes.
I must admit, I'm not techie at all in any way, shape, or form. So I'm listening, but it's way over my head. So I just need to it's probably going to take me one whole day to go through the recording, but I need to do it slowly to get with it. Because, you know, I don't even know how to get into Blackboard. Somebody at my office, I'm from MSBM, I was on the class yesterday. Somebody had showed me how to put up the course outline and a notice to say we're not starting classes until Monday, and some little message and whatever. So that I know how to do. But to actually get into Blackboard, I think, to teach, to be able to talk to them, and I don't know how, but you're gonna get there, right?
Yes, we're going to get there.
Okay, I'm here.
We're not getting to it today because we realize that has to be a standalone session.
Yes.
But we're getting to it.
When will that be? I think
Charmaine and I are going to have to talk about it first because we realize that it's a priority area.
Exactly.
So we'll talk about it and we'll let you know.
Because we start teaching on Monday, and trust me, I am absolutely clueless.
All right, but Vanda it is?
Vanda, V-A-N-D-A, yes.
What I'm happy about, that even though you admit that you are clueless, you are not totally clueless because you know how to put up something for the students to see. Yes. And that is a start. For us, that is a start.
What I did actually when the young man was showing me, I actually wrote down the steps. I'm very visually see. So I wrote down the steps and I went back and I did it and I called him and I said, don't tell me, just watch me and make sure I'm doing it right. And he said, yes, you're good. So I put up something else and I felt like I had a big degree, you know, because I could have put up 2 things.
Nice. And one of the things, we had a staff meeting yesterday evening, and one of the things that Dr. Chisholm had pointed out for the settle is that we realize that our role is changing and we're doing more consultation. So we're having one-on-one. So if you read, all you need to do is reach out to us. Charmaine is here. I am here. So you just reach out to say, listen, I need a one-on-one. I need it to go slowly because, as you point out, you're over your head. And we will sit down with you and go through one-on-one. And I love this.
It's Charmaine. Charmaine, tell me the names I'm writing.
Vanda, Charmaine Mackenzie. Michelle Stewart McCoy.
And you ladies are at CETL.
Well, Michelle is at CETL. Charmaine is with the Office of Online Learning.
Okay. Okay.
So together, you have a team waiting on you to say, I need that one-on-one.
Tell you how I am so grateful.
No problem. No problem.
Thank you, ladies.
No problem at all. And you know, one of the things that you just said, Vanda, which I really love, the fact that you said after he showed it to you and you wrote it down, you said, don't tell me nothing, let me show you.
Yes.
I love that. that is the kind of attitude and spirit that we want from everybody who feels overwhelmed with the technology that you're dealing with.
All right.
Get somebody to help you, go through the video and test it yourself. Say, no, man, this is my time. And talk to yourself. There's nothing wrong with talking to yourself. The problem is when you start answering yourself. All right? So talk to yourself as you work through and beautiful. That is what we want to hear and see. All right?
Thank you, ladies.
No problem.
You're welcome. Kevin is asking for your email address, Michelle.
All right, Kevin, I am not on the system as yet. I am new staff, so I don't have an official email as yet. What I have set up and have been using is mamccoyue@gmail.com. So Charmaine, if you could just type it in the chat for me, please. mamccoyue@gmail.com. So if you send me an email there, I will respond. Whenever I get the official one, I'll simply do a resend so that I can get it from both. But for now, it's mamccoyue@gmail.com.
Okay, Aldith says she's interested in creating the multiple choice. We're getting there. We're getting there.
The multiple choice quiz?
Yeah.
All right. So it's...
We're getting there, Aldith. We're getting there.
It's 10:34. Guys, can I ask for 2 minutes to rest my voice, please?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Sure, go ahead.
Rashali is giving you 5, Michelle. Okay, what we can do in the meantime is that if you like, one of you can share your screen. Let us see what you have on your screen, where you are. You notice the way Michelle's screen looked? Olivine says hers is boring. Is there anybody who is between boring and Michelle's level?
I managed to put in some pictures, but the sort of cartoon looking things and to have them. What I did, I put in pictures of the lecturers because I have a series of part-time lecturers. They don't really work for the university, so I have been setting up the containers for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, but I'd like to do it more, make it more exciting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So you don't want to show us, Olivia?
Sure. All right, let me get one up.
You're putting it up?
Yes.
Okay.
Charmaine, can I ask a question in the interim?
Yes, Natalie, go ahead.
So we have the option to do the discussion forum or the feedback, right? How do you choose between those? Because the thing that I was saying to Michelle that I had set up is actually a discussion forum and not a quiz.
Mm-hmm.
But I had tried to link it to, because it's supposed to be a series of activities that they complete one after the other. So I had tried to link one activity to the next activity, and so it's 3 altogether.
Okay.
But now I'm thinking that it would have been better to use the feedback option instead of the forum. So how do you decide between
Well, I think it's two different purposes, and I think you are on the right track in terms of using the discussion forum for what you want, based on what I know of your course, Natalie. So, but when Michelle goes into doing the forums, you will see how you can set up forums in different ways. So it's not the feedback is to collect information, like, you know, what we would call survey type of information, right? But I don't think that's what you want. You want discussion.
Right.
But there are different ways of setting up the discussions and of using the discussion forums. And Michelle is going to go into that.
Okay,
so,
thanks.
Yes.
How are
Yes,
we going, Olivine?
My screen has gone black. I'm trying to, I don't know.
Oh, because we realized that your desktop is on our screen.
Really? Oh my.
All right.
Yes,
All right. Let me jump back. I'm going to take it away from you. All right.
Please.
When it comes back, we'll come back to you. Okay. All right. So thank you for that explanation, Charmaine. And yes, Natalie, it's not a choice between the feedback and the forum. As Charmaine says, they serve two different distinct purposes. And since you mentioned the forum, and interestingly, yes, the forum is the next thing that we have. So we're going to look at the forum. We were asked to show how to add an attachment or a file to the forum, and then we'll show you how to set up a question and answer forum. Okay, so I am going to turn editing on. If it is not on, it is already all right. So I'm turning editing on so I can add. And I am going to, you may notice that I've used my labels. So my labels are set up. So I have my resources and I have my activities. So it makes it easier for me to just simply go to that section and put my activity there. So I'm going to add a forum. And I'm just going to...
Could you please stop sharing? I'm still seeing Olivine's screen.
Oh, not mine.
No.
Let me know when you can see my screen, and then I'll just go back.
Olivine? I wonder if Olivine is...
She's even hearing us.
Yes. Olivine, are you having audio problems? It seems that way.
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful.
Good, thanks.
All right, so I'm going to go back and share my screen. Are we seeing it now?
Yes.
Okay, beautiful. So I was saying that I had set up labels. So I have my resources label, and there is where I would put all the content that I want the students to get. And activities, this will tell them that this is where the different activities are. And so I went to add an activity and I clicked on forum. And what I am going to do, I think because it was there before, it is not playing with me at all. Let me just change to a different activity and then come back to the forum. Sometimes that happens. So what you do in a case like that, you simply refresh, go back, or start again. All right, so here we have it, back at add an activity. So add an activity, go to forum, and we give the forum a name. Okay, and the description, I want them to give their opinion or something or to discuss. So I'm going to say, what do you believe to be the best tool for engaging a large group of students. All right, and we're not going to just leave it open like that. We are going to make it a little more specific. So I'm going to say something like examine the set that were provided and give reasons. I want them to give 3 reasons for your decision. All right, so this is what I want to be my question, and I want it to be a standard forum. Now remember earlier when I said that if you see a little question mark, it gives you an idea of what gives you more information. If I click, it tells me what the 5 types of forum are. So you have the simple discussion, everybody can reply, unless of course you're in separate groups, all right? But everybody in the same group can reply. Each person posts 1 discussion, which means that everybody would have to post a new discussion topic, and then everybody can actually reply to the discussion topic, but you have to post one first as the initial one. The question and answer, it's called question and answer, but what it does is actually allows the student to post before getting access to anything else that has been posted before. And this is ideal to reduce the occurrence of them simply just looking at what other students have written and then giving it back to you in the post. So this way they are forced to make a response before they get access to whatever else was written. And the standard blog type looks just like a blog. For those of us who have seen blogs, you know that the blog has a topic and it has a date and it has the information, and then it has a section for comments, and then it has another date and topic and so forth. So it sets up like a blog, and it has like links that you click on in order to get to the particular one that you want to read. And the standard one for general is where everybody can start or anybody can reply to something that's there. All right, so we are going to leave the standard for now, and then we'll change it to a question and answer so that you can see the difference. Attachments and word counts. If you want them to type in the section, but then provide additional information, you can have an attachment, and you can decide on the size of the attachment depending on the type of course that you teach. Try not to encourage too heavy uploads from the students, especially if they have internet issues. So 2 megs is fine if it's a text document, and the number of attachments you would have to decide. Most times I tell them 1 to 2. So in this case, we want only 1 attachment, all right? For those who have to type in, sometimes you say in no more than 50 words or no more than 200 words. This is where you would then put a display word count. So students get to see exactly how many words they have so that they can edit it accordingly. And you can see how many words are written so that if there is a penalty attached to going over the word limit, you can apply it accordingly. Subscription and tracking. Optional subscription means that when this goes out and somebody has posted, you can decide whether or not you want to see every time somebody posts or not. All right, so you can turn it off. For subscription, if you set it as a teacher, it means that for everybody who posts, all students are subscribed, and therefore they will get feedback to say that Michelle has posted to the forum, and it gives the name of the forum. All right. And disabling it simply means that whenever people post, you don't know because it's disabled. The reader tracking is, or the red, I think it is in this case, red tracking, is whether or not you have read the particular post. So if it's unread, it tells you you have 6 unread posts, and then you can go in and look at those in particular. If it is not selected, what tends to happen is you have to sift through all the posts to remember which one you had actually looked at or not. Although sometimes there are indicators that tell you that you have, if you're the last person who have posted. But most times you leave it on so it helps. When there is a new one, it is highlighted and it says you have X number unread. Post threshold for blocking. You can decide how long, whether in days or in a week, you want for them to put up the information after which they can't post. All right, so there's a block of time that is usually given, and there's a warning if you want to put that in. We tend not to fool around that, but it is useful for some courses depending on the nature of the forum that you're putting up. You can assign a grade. If your grade book is set up, this would probably have different categories that would say something like participation, engagement grades, major assessment, practice tasks, if it is set up in the grade book. If it isn't, everything will say uncategorized, all right? And then the ratings is the grade that is assigned to the post if you are going to give a grade to the work. So even if it is a practice task and you're going to give a grade, you can decide that, okay, I will select a rating, and you can select a rating that's based on the number of posts that the students have made, or an average of the grade of whatever it is that they have done. You decide. And the good thing about the rating is that, let me just select one, is that you can decide if it's a point, meaning a numerical value, so it gives you a point, or if you're using a scale, which gives you something like complete, not complete, or a kind of rubric information. So you may have something like satisfactory, fair, unsatisfactory, and there is usually, based on the bands, there is a grade that is automatically attached to the band. But students would tend to see this is satisfactory and an explanation of what satisfactory means. So that is if you're going to give it a grade. And again, it's useful depending on the purpose of your forum. You can restrict the dates for grading. So if you say to students, if you post after September 10, no grade will be assigned. And you can actually set the date. So if you do that after September 10, even if you try, the section for you to assign a grade, here we go again. The section for you to assign a numerical mark would be grade out. All right, so where you would give the students a grade would be grade out if you select that. And the common module settings, the restrict access, and the activity completions would be the same on all the pages. The only thing is that the activity here would be slightly different because this is a post. So you may want the students to just look at it, which we advise you not to do. You want them to be able to respond or post something so that people can see. So depending on whether or not you are going to use this, you can select it. For now, I'm going to say no activity completion, and save and display. Okay, so the information is right here. This is your forum that you have set up. And if you, in the same way that we tend to be overwhelmed by the new technology, we should not assume that students automatically know what to do. So one of the things that I tend to do, I usually say to start a discussion, click on add a new discussion topic, and I take them through the steps. And then I'd have something that says to reply, click on the name of the subject, not the name of the person, and then post your information. All right, and this is it. Now, what does the student see? So let me go and switch role to student.
When you're finished with that, Michelle, Natalie,
yes.
Rashali is asking where you selected the forum. So when you finish, you could just flip back up to show her where.
No problem. So when I click on student, view role as student, and I need to keep remembering that I need to come out. So this is what the student would see, the best tool for teaching. The student would click on it and the information would be there. The student would click to add a new topic and give the tool. So I want to say Padlet is the best tool for teaching. And then I give my reasons here. My reason one is facilitates synchronous and asynchronous, because I'm using the names of the things that the teacher taught me. And 2 facilitates extra large groups. And 3, so that is 1. As a student, I also have these things that I can use. So I am putting it in 3. What's the beautiful thing about Padlet? Comments and feedback can be given by both teacher and student. All right, and then I was asked for an attachment, so I will see an attachment window to which I can then upload my attachment which explains these things. All right, so I'm just putting something up for the sake of putting something up. So this is my explanation, and I would post the forum. Okay.
Notice that, colleagues, notice that what Michelle put up is a PDF document. She put up a PDF file.
Yes, but depending on what your course, the file that students upload could be just about anything. It could be an audio file if that is what they want to show, or a video file, or an image. For me, I only had PDFs, I think, in that folder. So I selected the PDF file.
Okay.
No.
And for secure, you know, if you don't want, if it's a document that you don't really want the students to type in and that kind of thing, to edit in any way, then PDF is the best thing for text-based documents.
That is correct. All right. The question is, where did I go to find the forum?
To select the forum.
All right. So to select the forum, I have to turn editing on. Remember, always have to turn editing on. But I went to add an activity. So it's an activity, and I scroll down to forum. It's under feedback. Remember that it's in alphabetical order. So I simply scroll down and look for forum under add an activity, but you have to turn editing on to see that. Okay?
And that just a quick thing, Michelle, and that you can add the forum under any part of the container.
Any section.
Okay.
Any section. So wherever it is that you want. So let us say I wanted it under best practices. All right, so this is my best practices section, and I wanted the forum here. I simply would scroll to best practices. I'm sorry, I had set up my course for the students to see one section at a time. Let me just change that so that we're looking at everything at the same time. All right. It's one neat little trick so that students don't have to be scrolling forever. So I had selected show one section per page. I'll just show all sections on one page so that everything is there now. All right. So if I wanted to put it here, I would come down here and I would put it. Now let us say that I created the forum. I'm just gonna call this one trial. I created the forum and it appears, I'm just going to leave that, all right? So I created the forum and there it is, but I don't want it here. I can just drag it and put it where I want it, okay? That's all I can do. Just simply drag it, or if you're good at double clicking, you can double click and it gives you a list of everything where it goes after this or after that. This I find to be a little more confusing. So I tend not to double click. So if I go after, what it does is it moves it from where it was and put it right here after learning challenges survey. But I find it much easier to simply click it, not click it, click on the 4-edge tool and drag it to where I want to put it. All right, and you can fool around with it. It gets a little bit clumsy sometimes when you're just starting, but after a while you realize that you get better. Once your cursor changes to the 4 edge just like that, and you see move resource, you can then just drag it up and down and let it go where you want it to go. All right.
One follow-up question, and that goes for anything within the container. So let's say I wanted to move a video or some resources I had on the particular topic to another topic. I can do that easily.
Yes. So here I have my course file folder up here, but I want my course file folders down here. So I just select the drag and I just move it right there because that is all I want it under resources. So this is where I just drag it and let it go. So anything that's on your course page, you can move and organize it in such a way by just ensuring that when you pass, your editing is on, and when you pass your cursor, it changes to just the icon that's there. You notice that if I line it up, it's perfect. You can't see the black, and then you drag. Anything else? We're good?
Actually, you're okay? And others, are you okay with that?
Yes, I am.
Good. Kellyanne is asking how you get the checkboxes beside each resource or activity.
All right. So the checkbox, I love the direction this is going because this is having us address exactly what you want us to do. So the checkbox, I'm going to turn editing off and I'm going to view this as a student. Okay. So switch role to student. The checkbox is there as a completion task. So when the students, remember, I don't know if you were paying attention when I had clicked on, I want the students to submit it. So the students have 3 options. Well, as a teacher, you have 3 options. You can have no activity completion indication. So they wouldn't see anything there. So let me see if I have anything that looks like that. Now it would appear that I put something for everything. All right. And then there is the student can tick to say that he or she has completed. So I can tick to say that I have gone through the course file because I'm in student mode now. Or I have to do the task in order for the tick to come up automatically. Now, where do I go to set it up? In teacher mode, I have to go to edit settings. Remember where we were in order to set up the course description? That is where we'd go. So we go to edit settings and then we'll scroll down to where it says completion tracking. And I have it enabled. So if I disable it, this is what you would see on your course. Nothing. Okay. So the students can do the activity, but they won't get an indication that it acts as a reminder for students that, oh yes, I have done this, or this is left blank. And for you, the teacher, you can also see what students have done or haven't done. So if you deselect it, this is what it looks like. It's clean and nice and serves a particular purpose, but it's not about us, it's about the students. And if we want them to keep track of what they're doing and keep them engaged, we usually say, turn the completion tracking on and set your activities so that students can see what they have done and it has been automatically checked, or that they can actually go in and say that they have checked it. I had left, and you would have to try this with your students to see what works. I had left mine on with my students and I said to them, as you go through the activities, you can check the ones that you have completed, and the little wicked them go in and tick everything, even though they did not look at most of the activities. So over the years, what I did when I set my activities, I set them to be completed when the student actually do the task. And that has worked for me. But depending on your students and the purpose of what it is you're doing, you may decide that, okay, I'll leave this to them. If they want to check it, they can check it. But if I'm assigning badges, I usually don't leave that up to them. Because the year that I had said to them, you can go in and check, everybody got a badge for almost everything because they realized that all they needed to do was go in and click tick and they got the badge. So it's trial and error, and you can fool around with it.
Yes, and you had to get smart.
I had to.
You had to get at least as smart as your students.
At least, yes. It's a learning process for us, you know. It's a learning process.
Oh, yes.
You know,
Yes,
in the last session, I had mentioned what my mom used to say, foul teach man for tire, rope round him foot. So my students teach me how to become smarter when I'm dealing with them.
That's right.
All right. So somebody had asked, how do you add an attachment for students to access? You do something similar to what the student just did when I had created that one. So I did a forum called Trial. So let's go to the trial one. Here it is. And I want to edit it because I want to add some more information. Right now it doesn't have anything. So I want to say using the attached, let's say it's a rubric, evaluate your response to the whatever it is that you had given them. All right, evaluate. And you already say using the attached rubric, but what I tend to do is just highlight it so that they know that this is this. And then I attach, all right? So it has that. When I go to display, I'm going to add. So I'll put rubric for assessing your response to query A, because they would have known what query A is about. And then I can say click on download the attached rubric and use it to evaluate all sections of your response to query A. I cannot spell to save my life. Evaluate. All right. And then I don't want emails to be sent to me, but I want to attach. Now, I have been clicking this and clicking attach, but I suspect that most of you know by now, I'm in sharing mode, I can't find it that easily, that you can just simply drag a file and drop it right here. All right. So I'm going to do the browse and look for my rubric. Let's call that my rubric. And I upload and I post to forum. I click continue. And then when my students go in, again, I'm going to just go to view it as student so that I see what the students see. So I would go to trial and they would see that they're supposed to use the attached rubric to do that. And they see that this is the rubric. So they would click on it and it says download the attach, and then they would see the rubric here. It starts with S, but it actually spells R-U-B-R-I-C, okay? And they would click on it to download it, and it would give them that kind of information so they can download it and go through, and then they would respond. So they would click on reply in order to respond to whatever it is. So that is how you upload your file for a forum so that students can have access to it.
Aldith is asking how you drag a file to attach it. Can you drag it from your computer? Yes, that's where you drag it from
you drag it from your computer. And when you're dragging, I somehow
Michelle, sorry,
yes.
I'll get here. Yeah, I just don't know how to do that. I know how to add the file, but dragging it, I've never been successful. So it may seem a simple question, but I just can't get that one at all. I don't know why. Every time I try to
that's fine.
drag it, I'm not successful. So I just keep.
I'm trying to see if I can actually show more than just. I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to try and share my entire section. Let me show you exactly how that is done. All right, so I'm not, advanced. Give me 1 minute. I want to show you everything that is on my computer. 1 second, Damian. I'm not seeing the section that would allow me to select the entire computer selection. Give me a minute, guys.
Aldith, when you want to drag it, you have to, well, it's on, well, for me, it's there on the desktop, and you have the page open and the space where you need to drag it into. And I just hold on to it and drop it in there. I don't know.
Okay, Charmaine, it just seems easier to me to add this. I wonder, I keep on
so many other strokes. There are so many other strokes to rather than to just hold it and just go boop right inside.
Yeah, I find it easier to attach to other files. So I was wondering if I keep on wondering if I'm missing something, because I just couldn't get the drag thing at all. I know to drag files general, but whenever I try to do it on OurVLE, I'm not successful. So I gave up trying to drag it and just add the files.
Charmaine, question.
Yeah.
I'm okay with dragging the files, but I wondered if, suppose I wanted to reorganize my topics. So for instance, let's say I had topic 5, where I wanted it to become 2. Could I actually drag that entire sub part of the container to another section?
You mean on the main page? On the
right. So when
yes.
you have topics,
oh yes. You just hold it. You have to be in edit. You have to have editing on, yes. And you just hold it and move it to wherever you want it to be.
Okay.
Let me show you. All right, we haven't found how to share my screen so that you can see my entire desktop, so I could drag and show you how it's done. I'm so sorry about that. The section that
I'll get it soon.
Yes. All right. Very good.
I don't want to show me as Idris suggested.
Okay. She's gonna try it on her own until. All right. So, and then we can probably, what we can do is there are certain little tips and tricks that we will be putting together. So we will ensure that dragging instead of adding is also one of them, so that you can look and practice on your own. Just little tips and tricks of the trade. Dragging an entire section, that's the question somebody was asking?
It was dragging, from one.
All right. Place to another?
Right.
Like best practices, you wanted to move that.
To number 1. All right. So you do the same thing. You remember how we were moving individual files? This time you can move the entire section. So I would just bring it up. And you notice that it moves. And then I let it go. So it will now be, no, it gone back down. Come on, do not play with it.
It's supposed to go back. It's supposed to go up.
Direct. Remember, we could drop on, but it didn't move. Oh, yes, it did.
Yeah.
Oh, it didn't. It didn't. No, it didn't. See, my startup is still at my startup.
But it's
let's try this again. It's supposed to move when I let it go. It's supposed to let go, but let's see. Let's see if we do it the other way around. There we go. In fact, I dragged it too far. It went down to topic 3. It brought my topic 1 to topic 3. So you realize that you can move it, just that it's going to take a little bit of practice in order to get it to drop exactly where you want. But realize that this was at the top. Everything is now where it says topic 3. You may have to rename it though, because even though I have all my information here, it is called topic 3, and this is now my best practices. You realize?
Yes, thank you.
So you may just have to rename it when you drag it. Okay. One of the things that I find, it is easier for you to drag empty sections if you add the empty section. So this little down arrow here allows me to add a new section, and this one allows me to remove it. So because the topic is usually empty, it's easier for you to just drag and drop because you have less things to work with carrying along with you. Did you see that?
Yes, I actually did do the drag and drop with the entire thing, but I still see it running. So I was wondering if it didn't, you know, do, or it's just because a lot of things in the container.
It is quite possible that it's because it's a lot of things in there. The fewer things you have, the easier it is to manipulate it.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions where the forum is concerned? Oh, the question and answer forum.
Right,
so,
I was going to remind you about that.
Thank you. So let us say that this is the, let us create one. So add an activity forum, and the forum name is selection of tools, okay? And you say something like, I tend to stroke my students' ego all the time. Given your growing knowledge and experience with technology tools, you have been selected by the university to be on a panel of experts for the selection of tools for teaching. Click on the panel information below to give your expert opinion. All right. So I tend to do these things with my students so that they feel that, okay, I am really learning, and it motivates them. So as I said, I stroke their ego. And the panel information is what I want to highlight, because the question and answer forum, as I had said to you before, it allows them to respond to a prompt, a cue, before they can get access to anything else. All right. So I'm going to select, so forum type, question and answer, and I will just leave the rest as it is. And then I'll go down to save and display. Now for save and display, you realize that it says add a new question. This is because the students have to respond to something before they can then see whatever else is there. So I'm going to create the question, and I did say that it would be called panel information. So I'm going to call it panel information. And then the message will be let me just say, this is where you would have outlined more details, because this is where you would give them more details than what is up the top there. That just says click on panel information, but panel information would tell them all the details that they would need in order to respond. All right, and I'm going to select that, and I click post to forum. Now, as the teacher, it looks normal to you. Selection of tools, that panel information. As the student, so I'm going to go and view it as a student. This is what the student would see. So switch role to, and every time you create an activity, colleagues, try and view it as a student so you have a better idea of how it would look to the students. So it's called selection of tools, and this is what they would see. This is a question and answer forum. In order to see the responses to other questions, you must first post your answer. So they can't just go in and look. they have to now click on panel information and post their response. And they can do that selection and then post a forum. Once they have done that, they would be able to see whatever else was there. But in this point, I am the only person in the course responding to the only person in the course. But if it were a real class, this is at the point where they would see the other persons who have responded, if they're not the first, and they would be able to look at the comments that other persons have made in terms of the tools, okay? But not until they have posted would they have access to it. It's a neat little tool to use if you really want them to use their brain juices to think before they actually see anything else. It forces them to think about their response before they can look at whatever anybody else has posted.
Remember you pointed out to the other group that after they have seen what others have posted, though, they can go back and change theirs.
Yes, they can. But the good thing is that depending on the settings that's set up in the course or by MITS, it can be set in such a way that once they have posted, they cannot post again. So you can, even in your restrict access, you can set a restriction that says that they can only post once. So you can, there are little ways and means for you to control whether or not they go in and just copy after they post foolishness and change it. You can also, if the permissions are in there, and this is something that is an easy discussion with MITS, you can prevent them from deleting what they have posted before. So that would give you an idea if they're being academically dishonest and simply posting something and then copying. So you can prevent them from deleting that initial post, because you have some students who are very, very creative like this, and they will go in, put something in, go back, change it, and delete the original. So there are ways and means to curb it. You can't get rid of it completely, but you can curb it somewhat. Any questions, any queries? We are going to jump into the quiz making task.
Nothing in the chat, no hands raised.
Are you all, I haven't lost you along the way, have I? Apart from Vanda, who we understand perfectly, are the rest of us okay?
Fairly okay.
Okay, that is good.
It's a start. It's a good start. Right. Yes.
Yes. Kellyanne says she's kind of okay. Kellyanne offered to show her screen.
Okay, let's see your screen.
To show how we can drag from your desktop.
Okay, okay. So I'm going to stop sharing, Kellyanne, and could you show us?
Morning, colleagues.
Good morning, Kellyanne. Happy to have you.
Morning, Kelly.
So I hope you're seeing my screen now, are you?
We are.
Yes, we are.
Okay, so this is one of my courses. I've been doing some work on it while we are in the class. As you can see, I now have some check boxes here.
Nice, nice.
And I added a block because I've not.
Beautiful.
Thank you very much.
Very good.
I'm thankful. So what I'm going to do is I use a lot of pre-recorded videos for my class. I treat it like a flipped class. I'm going to show how to upload. I'm just going to upload one of those videos. So what you would do is just like I have here, where I have Blackboard open and I've opened the folder on my computer that has the video I want to upload. Just click on the video once, hold it down, and drag over. So you'll also see that it highlights the box that says drop files here to upload.
Don't let it go. Don't let it go as yet. Hold it right there. Let me just point something out. So colleagues, when you're dragging, that little dash line around in the section that says drop here, If it changes to red, it means that you're outside of the border somehow. There, come down a little bit, so a part of it. Oh, the color doesn't change on your. But when it's proper and ready to be dropped, it changes to blue, which means that everything is A-okay, and then you can let it go, and it fills in. Now, because this is a video, it is taking a little while. But that is essentially what happens. I'm going to ask you to just go through that again with a you have a text file.
Okay, no problem. Let me see if I can.
Don't cancel this. Just let it finish first so that they can see.
Okay, I'll do one with a PDF file.
All right, and go a little bit slower for those who need to go through the steps. So don't do that as yet. Wait until the other one. All right. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
but in order to do that, you had to open another folder, and it didn't show your entire screen, did it?
The folder wasn't showing?
No, man, we are seeing your folder, but what I'm asking for you to do this, what you had to do was to open a folder rather than drag it from your desktop.
Well, yes, because I try not to have too much on the desktop, but it would be the same kind of concept. Let me see if I can find, all right, let me edit. But I don't think you can see my desktop because I'm on screens here. This is screen 2 showing.
Because we were looking for, I think I'm mixing Zoom with Blackboard. Blackboard allows me to show my entire screen where I could show the desktop or the folder separate. But you're on 2 different screens.
Let me try something. This may, let me stop sharing and see if I take this over to my screen, if sharing this one will work. Let's see.
Okay.
And the best way would be probably, I'm gonna try a thing. So share screen 1. Okay, so you should be seeing my screen now, correct?
Yes, but you still have 2 screens that you have at your disposal, and that makes
No, man, I'm doing it now only on one. I'm gonna do it now on one screen. So you're only seeing one screen. You're seeing the main screen. Not seeing my screen number 2 at all. My screen number 2 right now is blank.
Okay.
Right, so this is, you should be able to see the desktop.
Just drag any file. You can delete it after. But go slowly. You're going too fast for those who need. Okay. So
what would have to happen first though is that you couldn't maximize the browser. You would have to have the browser as I have it able to see parts of the desktop.
Very good.
And then
that is a trick.
Yes, that's the trick.
Right. So let me also scroll down a little here.
Don't put it, do me a favor, please. Don't put it in a folder. So let us say you're going to upload a file. So go to the main page and then scroll down to add an activity or resource.
Okay, and then
then add a file.
Sure.
Okay, so put the name of the file.
Ignore for now. In case a student comes in.
And then go to where you would put the file. Scroll down to content. Very good. Okay. And then you do the drag for us now. Slowly, please. So you go to where the file is and you drag it across.
And I use the mouse, the left part of the mouse to hold down the file. And then I start just moving it.
Can you put it back at the edge when it changed to red? Just put it right. So that color means that it is not within the box, so it will not upload. You have to ensure that it is entire. Drag over somewhere now. There you go. So the line changes to blue, which means that okay, you can then let it go. All right. And then it uploads it. Now, because it says it's a link.
It's a link. Oh, because it's a shortcut, yes.
Oh, okay. But because...
I can do it again with an actual file.
There is Econ 101, which is an actual file. Okay.
An actual file, yeah.
Very good. And then let go. And then it uploads it. And then there it is. And you click save and return to course, and it is there. So this is just another way. Thank you so much.
No problem.
This is just another way of uploading. It's much easier for some persons to just drag, but then there are some of us who still prefer to go and click on add and go through the process of browse and upload. Whichever works for you, you use it. Just become comfortable with it so you know that you can add content to your students. Thank you so much, Kellyanne, it was?
Yes, no problem.
All right, beautiful. So, and this is it. There's no hard and fast way to a lot of the things that we do. And I must say your course looks lovely, Kellyanne. I love the HTML block that has its lecturer information and how you're organizing. And that is where we want to reach eventually, because it's all about engaging the students and giving them one of the best experiences that you know that we can in a space that is unfamiliar to so many of us, and in a space that is so alienating, because you're separated by distance and by so many other things, the internet in between and so forth. So we have to try and see how best we can make the setting as engaging and interactive as possible without doing an overkill on the bling, because we don't want the distraction. It's all about the learning. The tools are meant to assist, but the focus is on the pedagogy. All right, so we are going to, if we are ready to move on, let us set up some quizzes. And quiz is it's one of the ways of assessing students' work, but you can use it for diagnostic, you can use it for formative, you can use it for summative purposes. We are going to set up a very simple quiz, and we're going to look particularly at the aspect of the formatting after we have added a question. So this morning I went in and I created an assessment, all right? And I called it Best Practices for Online Resources. I think this is it. All right, it says that it will close today at 10. And if I click on, let me view this as a student. I just want you to see what it looks like before we actually look at how we create this. So it tells me that I can attempt the quiz now. So this is what the student would see, attempt quiz now. You as a teacher would see preview quiz. It gives them some information. There's only one attempt and there's a time limit, all right? So I say yes. Now it's 3 questions. I can do this in 75 minutes. So the first question is, what is the name of the OurVLE resource that allows you to add a website to a link? Can any of you tell me?
URL? Let's see if we're giving out any badges here today.
The URL is correct. Okay, very good. All right.
Iris got the first badge.
All right, nice. And then what is the name of the plugin that allows us to make a selection? I mentioned it briefly. Did anybody remember me saying choice? All right, and the next one says the feedback activity has a set of preset questions, true or false?
There you go, Natalie got it right. Iris got it right as well.
What is the correct answer?
Kellyanne.
So what is the answer?
They got it right. They said it was false.
Okay, so it's false. All right. And then I have completed my quiz, and it tells me that the answers are saved. And if I click on submit and finish, it tells me, it prompts me again. So when a student is doing the quiz, these are some of the things that the student goes through. And that is one of the reasons why it's good for you to test it as a student so that you can have firsthand feel of what happens. So it tells me that once I submit, I will no longer be able to change my answers. And I say, yes, 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 I know. All right. And it is there because I have all of that. Now, depending on what it is that I set up, I may not be able to see anything else. So I can't tell how much I got. I can't tell what is the general feedback because my teacher has set it that probably I can't get any feedback until the test closes. All right. Now, let me show you something neat. When I go back to my role and the time is now what, 11:32, if I change the setting on the quiz that says, this is the quiz, and I change the setting that says that the quiz is going to end at 11, where is my timing here? The quiz is going to end today at 11:32 gone already, so 11, let me put 11:32. All right. It means that if I were to go in as a student, I wouldn't be able to do the test anymore. It would tell me something that the quiz is now closed or something like that. I did do the quiz though. And if I click on it, because the quiz is finished, it means that I can actually review the quiz. So it says that it is finished. I don't have any more attempts. And it lets me, so it gives me a summary. And if I click on review, it shows me what it is that I did. All right. So it tells me that that was my response. It tells me how quickly I answered it. So the students get some feedback, some information that tells them how well they did. So they can actually go in and do the review. All right, so when you set up the quiz, you can do that. If it's a case that you set up something that's called an overall feedback, the students will also get that kind of detailed feedback which would be coming from you. So let us set up a quiz so that we can add some questions and we can set up our tools. And I need to go back to teacher, so I need to go back to my normal role. And I need to click on editing quiz. How many persons in this group have never created a quiz for your online class? Just raise your hand. Charmaine, tell me a quick tally, please.
All right, colleagues, raise your hands. I'm not, hold on.
All right, so Kevin has raised his hand. And Aldith.
Yes, Aldith. Rashali says never.
Okay, so, all right, that is fine. So you know that you use the quiz to evaluate students and it can be graded or not. So we're going to look at how to set up a quiz. The quiz falls under activity, so you would have to click add an activity and then you scroll down, it's in alphabetical order, you click on quiz. All right, so for those of you who can create the quiz while we're going along, please do so. You're going to name your quiz and try not to give your naming conventions should be very, very specific. So don't call it quiz one. All right, so call it resources, e-resources quiz. So I know that this quiz is all about the resources in an online space. All right. And then usually what I tend to put here are specific details that make it look as official as possible. So I probably put something like UWIMONA. I probably write it out, so I probably should. The University of the West Indies, Mona campus. And then I put the course, CTL 1001, using OurVLE Tools. And then I have the weighting. I can probably say this is worth 20%. All right, and then I can center this. And then I'd probably have something that says instructions to students. And this quiz examines all of Unit 1 resources and 2 and Unit 2 online resources. Then you can probably tell them that there are five items. Answer all questions. You have 1 attempt. All right, so I will just make the sections that I want to emphasize, just give it a little emphasis, a little highlight. And then I'll probably this is just formatting, all right? So that's the description of the quiz. And then the timing, when, if it's a practice, you probably just want to leave it open, or you want to give a start date and an end date, all right? So we're gonna let it start at 11:30 today, and we will close it tomorrow, say at 10 o'clock. All right, so the students will see when the test starts and close in their upcoming events. There's a time limit. It's only 5 items that I'm putting in this one, so I'm going to make it be 30 minutes. All right. One of the things that we need to bear in mind is that when we're giving students on writing activities where they have to write online and it's timed, you can probably consider the group that you have, the internet access and issues and any other act of God that may turn up, and just add a few more minutes to the assessment piece that you're giving. So that's something to bear in mind. All right. And then when the time expires, I want, if they didn't get a chance to click submit, that their responses would still be used. So I will leave it at open attempts are submitted automatically. If not, I would click the drop down and select one of the others. So if they don't submit, if they don't click the submit button before the time runs out, the responses would not be counted. But most times, given the circumstances, which I tend to leave this one so that if when the time runs out, they have the information there, but they forgot to click the submit, or they didn't have the time to click the submit, the responses are counted. And I look at this as if in an exam where some students tend to write in pencil, and then if they have enough time, they erase it and write it in pen. This is how I treat it, like a pencil version of something. So they have already written the responses, that just didn't get a chance to finalize what it would look like. So I tend to leave open attempts are submitted automatically. All right. For grade, remember when I spoke about the grade book? So if the grade book is set up, this would probably fall under practice activity, or probably under engagement task, or under major assessment. It really depends. And the attempts allowed, if it's practice, unlimited doesn't necessarily help you or the student. I would put a limit even on practice, so probably 3, 4, 5 times. But unlimited, nah. If it's going towards a student's grade, you probably want to just give them 1 attempt. And if you give them more than 1 attempt, though, you have the option to use the higher grade, or the highest grade, or an average, or you use the first attempt or the last attempt. This is something that you would have to decide. But if it's only 1 attempt, you don't have that option, because 1 attempt is just 1 attempt, and they would use the only grade, which would be the higher grade. Layout. Now, the order of the question as shown on the screen means as you type it, that is how it would look on the student's monitor. If you click the drop down and select shuffle randomly, it means that the information that you type would appear in different places on the student's screen. Depending on the type of assessment that you do, you will have to consider this carefully. All right, you can shuffle randomly if you have questions that are not impacted by a particular order. So if you have a reading passage and questions which follow, you probably don't want to select shuffle randomly. If you have questions that are not related to the other questions, though, you can shuffle so that students don't all get the same information in the same order, okay? And then for new page, we tend now to say, put each question on a new page, because students have shown us that they can print screen and copy if you have several at a time, and you can actually have all the questions on the same page, or you can decide how many questions depending on how long your test is. So you realize that it goes to 50 questions. So you can have like 50 questions on each page before it changes. And in a case like that, students can simply download. But if you put each question on a new page, they won't have enough time to be copying, because the time is also running out. So it reduces the event of cheating. Doesn't get rid of it, but it reduces it. Okay, so we leave it at that. And navigation method, free means that the student can move in between the tests. So if I got stuck on a particular question, I can move on to the other questions and then come back to it. If it's not free, it is sequential, which means that I can only go forward. So if I miss a question, I can't go back. I usually give them free because sometimes you don't want them to spend an entire day trying to figure out one question in order to move forward. So I tend to say to students, go through the ones that you know and are very comfortable with, and the ones that will give you more time, you can go back to that. So this is your navigation method. Question behavior, we already said that we're going to shuffle the questions within the question. Now this is shuffling the test up here, but this is shuffling questions within questions. So if you have multiple choice, this would shuffle it within the multiple choice. So in addition to my number 1 multiple choice being your number 7 multiple choice, it means that my A might be your C, all right? And how the questions behave, you have a question sign here that gives you more information that you can read, but we tend to select deferred feedback, because what it means is that when the student responds, there is no evidence of any answer, any prompt that would give the student any indication of what the answer is. They just do the thing and move on. So the feedback to the response is deferred, is delayed, all right? And then for review options. Now this is going to be very, very, very important. And remember, slow me down if I'm going too fast. This is going to be very important in the case, well, depending on what it is you're doing. If you're setting up a quiz just for practice purposes, this can stay as it is, which means that as soon as the students are finished, they can see the attempt, they can see whether it's correct, they can see the grade, they can see what is the right answer, they can get feedback. If you're doing this for grading purposes that go towards the students' thing, you want to remove all the options right after they have done it, while the test is still open. And depending on the purpose of the test, you probably want to leave the responses until after the quiz is closed, where they can see their response, they can see whether it is correct. If it's incorrect, they can see the correct answer, they can see how many marks they get, they can see specific feedback for questions or general feedback, and they can get an overall feedback for the entire test. Again, this is something that you have to think hard and long about, depending on the status of your students and the purpose of your test, okay? And then for appearance, this is whether or not you want to see the student's image. Some of them tend not to put up images, and it really doesn't matter. The decimal places in terms of the grades and whether or not it is the decimal place in the question grades are the same for everybody. Usually you leave it as it is. Extra restriction and attempts have to do with how you set up additional features. So if you want a password, you probably want to put a password in that the students enter in order to do the test. Again, it depends on the purpose of your quiz. If it's more than one attempt, you probably want to give them a break before they can do it again. This is where you would also set that up. And for overall feedback provides the students with bands. So if you get between, let's say 90 and 100, you want to give them a feedback that say, excellent, you're doing so well, and so forth. So you can give an overall feedback to the entire test here by simply putting in your boundaries and putting in your comments. And you do that for all of them. Of course, you'd put more than just well done, but you put your comments in, and that is the overall feedback, which is pretty neat. I probably can show you a test that was done where the feedback was put in place, and it's a good motivator. All right. And then after you have done all of that, you click Save and Display, because all you have just done is set up the settings. Now we're going to add questions. So you will get this information, the name of the quiz, and this is the description page, and it gives you all that information. And so we are going to edit the quiz so we can add questions. If it's a case where you already have questions in a question bank, you can use the question bank. If you don't have questions, you will have to add them. So I have a question bank here that I will add some questions from, so you can see how that works. But I will also be adding questions from scratch. All right. So I did say that my test is 20%. So this is where I would change it to 20. So the maximum grade is 20. And it doesn't matter if I have 2 items or 100 items. The test will be recalculated so that it shows 20, it is marked out of 20. All right. Okay, so what I want to do, the first thing that I want to do in a case like this, I am going to go over and, let me save this. All right, so I am going to go over and I am going to select, these. So I'm going to select them because here's my bank, and I am going to add to quiz. Okay, now this only happens if your quiz has a bank of questions before. If it doesn't, you will have to add questions from scratch. And so I have added from my bank, and I am going to also create a new question. Okay, so I'm going to click create new question, and I am going to put in a short answer. So here you have the different types, and if you click inside, you get a description. Okay, so if you're not sure what they are, you can just click inside and it gives you a description. So I'm going to, let's put in another true false. All right, so guys, what the question name is just to tell you what this question is. What will this true false question be? I need a question from you. We're fading, but we're almost finished. So may I have a question from you? It's a true false question.
Aldith, is that an old hand or that you have up? Or is it that you have a question?
No, Charmaine, I don't have a question. I didn't realize my hand was still up. That's an old hand.
Okay.
All right, so Aldith, since your hand was still up, would you like to give us a true false question for this quiz?
Okay. The Jamaica Labour Party.
Okay, the Jamaica
Labour Party.
Yeah.
Won 50 seats.
150 seats. Okay.
In the September 3rd, 220 election.
In the September 3, 2020 general election.
Right.
And then I will put election question here. This here is to tell me, not for the student, all right? So this is to help me to know which question this is if I have to go back in. And all right. And because this is I'm giving it 1 mark if they get it correct. And I'm not putting in any general feedback here. The correct answer is false. If the correct answer were true, you would have selected. By the way, I'm gonna see them win 40 something, right? 49. Okay, 49? 49? Okay. So the correct answer is false. So, and if the answer were true, you would put some kind of feedback that would say, I am shocked. Clearly, you have not been following the elections or something like that. Okay. And if it's false, it would say, oh, you're clearly an aficionado of elections and things like that. You make some kind of feedback that show that it is correct or incorrect if you're putting in a feedback. All right. And then you click Save Changes. All right. So now we have in our quiz questions that came from our bank and questions. Where is my question? Oh, I had created it over here. No, where is my question? Didn't I add save a while ago? Tell me that I added save, please, guys.
I think you did, but I'm not seeing the question.
Please don't tell me that I didn't add save. Oh, no, I didn't. I added it to the all right. So there it is. I added it to the bank so I can move it over because it was right there, election question. So I added it over. Where is the question? Come on, don't do this to me. So this happens from time to time. As we know, this is technology, but that should not have happened. I added the question. So I don't know. So let's do that again. With selected, add to quiz. What are something wicked? So this happens sometimes. Okay, so there is our question. So we have our test bank and we can look at it to see what the students would see. All right. Now, I think we had said that we weren't going to open it until later. That's what we had said. What was the name of the quiz we just created? Is it this? Come on, guys, work with me. No, that's not the quiz. What is the name of the quiz we just created?
Hello?
Actually, I don't remember the name.
And I'm not even seeing it.
Yes, I'm here. What
How could you?
I don't know. I'm telling you.
This is strange.
My part.
You passed at the bottom of his e-resource quiz.
No, the e-resource quiz was the one that's what we had called it?
I don't think.
No, we were creating, this is it? Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Continue to last preview. Oh yes, there we are, 5 questions. Okay. So question 1, and the free navigation is this. So it means that the students can go through. Okay. And this is a question that talks about organizing your time, which we added. All right. So the students would see the questions one at a time because we have set it that only one question would turn up on the page at a time. If we're setting it for practice, we can put 5 questions at a time. And again, you would have to consider the shuffling aspect. If it has connected parts, you probably don't want to shuffle the questions. You probably want to shuffle like the multiple choice, but not individual questions. Somebody's mic is on. All right. And then somebody asked about badges. We are not going into badges because unfortunately we don't have the time. But one of the things that you can do, and we will talk about setting up a session for you, is that you can manage the badges in your class, so in your group. So you can set up badges. I had set up one originally, which had to do with the online profile. And once students create the online profile, they get a badge. They get a message that says, congratulations, you have won a badge. And if they look on their profile, all the badges that they have gotten is shown on their profile. So it's a show off kind of thing for the work that you have done and the badges that you are collecting. You would have to, if you're setting up badges, you'd have to set up badges within a strategic structure. So you'd have to set it up so that students don't just do any little thing and get a badge. They should work for it and appreciate why they are getting this particular badge. And some badges can be put in, can be awarded by you, the teacher, where you say, okay, I noticed that this student has moved from 17% to 30%. It's a great move and I want to encourage the student. You can award a badge for that. Still failing, but failing better, okay? So that is something else that you can do. This is not the session for it, unfortunately, but we can set up badges and use them as motivators to help the students. Before I wrap up, I just want to say that I realize that the session is long. It's lengthy and we attempted to put in a number of things in the session so that you could capitalize as much as possible. It's a little bit weary for us, and I'm sure it is for you too. So in going forward, we're going to try our best to ensure that the sessions that we do are smaller and more compact so that you get more out of one thing at a time than us trying to cover several things, because I'm tired and I'm sure you must be tired too. And for those who are, yes, I understand, Nina. And for those of us who are overwhelmed or very, very new to this, it can seem like a lot and it can pose as a turnoff. But the good thing is that you'll have the recording so you can pause as you go through, but no problem, I'm coming to you, Rashali. But in going forward, Charmaine and I will have a sit down and we will work out how to do focused sessions for you. Questions? Yes, I think so too, Aldith. Rashali, you have 1 or 2 points to clarify.
Thank you so much, Michelle. Going back to the quizzes, right? I don't know if I missed it because I got kicked off the internet for a few. When you were setting up the quiz, I noted that you said something about a question bank, right? So I have a mix of both and I'll be using multiple choice questions, for instance. How would I get the bank? Because it seems as if you had the bank already attached.
All right, so for your course, each time you create a quiz, a bank is automatically created. Every time you create a quiz, a bank is automatically created for the course. However, let me go back into Share and show you.
So I just assume that I don't have a bank.
All right, so if you
on the thing, I have it on my desktop, but I don't have it.
Oh, you have your questions on your desktop.
Right.
All right, so what you would do in a case like that, let me go back to my course evaluation. Where is, come on, don't do this to me. Where are you? All right, here we go. So in a case like that, what I would do is, I want to set up, oh, that's my quiz. All right, turn editing on, here we go. And then I'm just going to put it here, all right? So that we can. And then I'm going to go down to save and display. All right, so where it says edit quiz, over to your right, you see where it says question bank contents? Are you seeing my screen?
Yes, I am.
All right. So this is where you can, it tells you that this is the course and this is the one for, it is the default for the CETL, right? And right now, this is the default one, all right? And this is the one that I'm about to create. So it's called trial 2, okay? So this is the test that I'm about to create, right? I can, this is a question bank. I can stay right here and create all the questions that I want, and they would be added right here under my bank. So if I do a short answer, I can go to the ones that I have on my desktop, and I can just copy and paste, okay? And each time that I do something like this, it appears in my, what did I not do? Oh, all right, fine. That is what happens when you're rushing. All right, the rest of them can be 0 and I need a response. Or is multiple choice I selected?
You select short answer.
I selected which one?
I think short answer.
No, I don't think this is short answer. It has answer A and 2 and so forth. So it's all right. Let me just do this. It probably was a multiple choice. Probably, I'm not sure. All right. So you see, it turns up here under your question bank, and it tells me that for the trial 2, there is 1 question in there. So you can just open your Word document, select create question, and copy and paste. All right. There is also the option of importing your questions, but when you import, the questions have to be in a particular format for it to come across easily. So for right now, what we do, we just show you how to add the questions, and then we will probably have a session that shows you how you can format your questions and import them all at once. But when you're finished, Rashali, all your questions would be here, and then you select the ones that you want to go in your quiz.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. You said you had 1 or 2 things. What's the other thing?
I don't remember.
You don't remember. All right. Right. So guys, today we went through a lot. Charmaine, I don't know if you want to add anything to this before I just wrap up.
No, I don't want to add anything.
All right,
why
guys.
you laugh? No, I don't want to. I mean, it has been a lot. And I'm glad though that some people were able to follow
and share their screens.
Share their screen and do what, you know, what we were doing. So that is helpful. And when, of course, as we go forward, that is what we're going to have to do, since we can't, you know, be in one another's faces, you know. So that's how we're going to have to go forward. So you're going to have to assume that you need to be at your computer, you know, working along with us and asking questions.
And remember that we are on hand, and there are no stupid questions. All questions are valid. All queries are valid, and we are here to help you to move from where you are to where you want to go. Before you run off though, guys, I would love for you please to do, because we normally would have an evaluation. Do not run off as yet. I would like for you please to just go and do an evaluation for us, just to respond to our questions. So we have a few questions that we'd like and a little feedback. So let me just post the link here so that you can go and do that for us, please. It will take you less than 2 minutes, literally. So that's the form, if you could do so. And thank you very much. You have been a great group. And today we have covered so much. We looked at HTML block and created some beautiful blocks. We went into the feedback. We looked at the difference between the feedback and the survey. We did question and answer. We attached forum. Wow, you guys are great. We covered a lot today. So thank you very much. Look out for the video. Do the evaluation for me, please. And remember, we are on hand. Charmaine and I are here to assist you. Just reach out to us. Thank you so much.
Colleagues, no ice cream for us today, but go and enjoy your lunch. And thanks for coming.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you, Michelle and Charmaine. Great session. Learn a lot.
Okay, Kevin.
I'm glad you learned, Kevin. And I'm glad you came, Kevin.
Yeah.
I know Michelle, we're going to see him.
Okay, good.
Okay.
He's been promising to visit me for a while.
Okay, good. All right, guys. So do the session for us, the evaluation, and we will see you in one form or the other.
Welcome, Stan.